whole looking back to it, how you guys were like trying to figure that out is fucking magic. It's awesome.
What do you believe when you die? And are you like? Because you are, to me, you're an enigma. Every time I try to talk to you, it's you always say the right thing, but without answering it. You know what I mean?
Well, the key thing is believe. You know, the key thing about
What does
when
that
we
mean?
die,
What is
we don't
belief?
know. We don't. None of us knows, and so,
So you say you believe, and I listen
Yeah.
through your music that you do believe. What does believe mean
believe means for me,
for you?
it's faith before fear, right? And so, instead of when I think about life,
What is your faith? Is your faith a Jesus? Is it a Buddha? Is it a Jehovah Witness? And like, is it something else? Because I don't see you that way. And the reason, and when I listen to your music, it seems like God is everything to you.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, the creator of this world is everything to me, you know. And I'm not saying that I know exactly the nature of God, because nobody does, including myself, especially myself, I would say. But I know that there's I know that when I look at creation, I see creation. I don't just see a random pool of elements that is coagulated together, although it depends on where you go, right?
Yeah.
But definitely in general, I would say that all evidence points towards
Designer.
design,
Yeah.
whether it be on the cellular level, whether it be on the macro level, whether it be a galaxy, whether it be a planet, whether it be a solar system, whether it be the entire universe as a whole. And not that we know what that is, not that man knows what that is. You know, a lot of times we like to think, okay, well, you know, with science, the idea is what has been discovered and what has been seen and verified is what truth is, right? But with faith, what it is what has not been seen is verified by what has been seen, right? I can verify that there's a DNA code there, the strand of DNA, any strand of, and then there's cells there. I can see that this looks a lot like the galaxies and the planets and these other things that that have certain orientations, right? In
You talk about
time and
DNA?
space. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
DNA
agree to that.
definitely has a structure.
understand.
You know, DNA definitely has a structure. Let's take DNA for example, right? Or RNA. Both of these have structures, and both of these are specific structures that it's not like you could just throw a bunch of stuff. You can't just throw a pool of water together. And science has not proven that you can do this. Like, you know, if there is proof of that, then show it. I'm sure Professor Dave might say, this guy's an idiot. You know, these guys are idiots. This is what's been proven. But no.
Put it in the comment section.
Yeah. Professor Dave, I ask you to just just zoom out a little bit. You know, zoom out a little bit. Stop hating so much, because scientists have not figured everything out, and neither have people that believe. You know, so but faith over fear is a thing. You know what I mean? Faith before fear is a thing.
There's a theory that goes, our DNA has been modified, and there has, and through the the modifications to our DNA that cannot be explained are called junk DNA. Is that, what do you like? Is that something you consider in that situation?
Sure. Why not? Why?
Is that what you're alluding to when you're talking
Well,
about DNA and how it maps out the stars?
Okay, when it comes to junk DNA, we're talking more along the lines of evolution, right? So where you have DNA that seems to have been coagulated or designed over certain millennia, and time could always be the master for that.
Good.
Right?
Yes.
That over so many millions, well, maybe more millions of years, things have kind of coalesced into these different shapes, different designs.
Based on evolution and how it's survival.
Right. And then there may be a bunch of junk outside of that.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's certainly a possibility. Why would that not be a possibility? Why does that disprove a creator? Just because there's evolution, to me, that is also proof of design and creation, right? That means that there is some method by where things are designed over time, and that is something that you can look at from this. We have the unique advantage of looking at this from this perspective, right? And so there could be people that have that unique advantage, or beings that have that unique advantage well into the future. May have been people that knew about that in the past, and there certainly are. But these are all methods of design. Whether it comes to whether you add time to the equation or not, that does not preclude or exclude a creator, you know. And but I do know that also that the universe that we live in right now, you know, is also can be very chaotic and destructive. You know, so there is junk in there. There's junk that gets spit out of a black hole or a solar system or the Earth cloud. You know, the sun itself, the Earth. You know, there's things that go on and processes that go on that will grind you down and will break every physical element and throw it out into space like it's nothing. Yet here we all are talking about it, and here we all are viewing it from the plane of the Milky Way galaxy, but on the perfect spot to where it's dark enough where you can view the entire, not only the galaxy, but every other galaxy to almost to the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Now to what, 350,000 years is the latest,
Yeah.
I believe, the latest calculation from telescopes like the James Webb Telescope and others. But the James Webb is incredible. And what it shows us is that we are looking at light from almost the beginning of time. Now, why is that? Why is that? Is that because there's no creator? And is that because it's all coincidence? Is it also a coincidence that we're actually looking into the beginning of time? That I find very hard to believe. If I also have to believe that I'm standing here with arms and legs and a guitar and all these speakers and all these cables and stuff, and I still have to believe that all this is coincidence, I already found that hard to believe. But now I have to believe that we're standing on the edge of the solar system in the perfect spot to view all of time by coincidence. That's very hard for me to believe. So I believe otherwise. I believe that there is a creative force behind the universe, putting us in this very spot at this very time.
One of the things that is the one thing that's the most important to me is me as a father. The hats that I wear. And you as a man, I look up to you. I've always looked at you as big brother.
Likewise, brother. Yeah.
That's big brother. I've tried to follow his lead. I try to be that example in the community like you are. I'm just a little more loud, you know, and I come up short sometimes. But as a father, I wonder, because I have so much respect for you as a big brother, how do you teach your kids that? What do you teach your kids? Because everything we talked about is way too, what do they know? You know what I mean? Like how can we explain that to them and they go, okay, you know, and what do you do to try to instill in them at a younger age? That
is tough, man. That is tough. But we're both learning, you know. The thing is, we were talking about this earlier, too. We're both learning, and these fathers right here, they know about this, and I learn from them, too. We're learning, when you get on a child's level, I feel like that's where we can learn how to relate to them, and just by listening and just by watching every cue and being in the moment with them. Because, you know, if I go outside and I say, let's plant this seed, and my son Elijah says, and he gets so excited, you know, he gets just excited just to be outside.
Yeah.
Then I say, I'm outside. Oh yeah, I'm outside.
You forget how exciting
cool.
outside
like, this is really cool, you know. And then I've got these seeds in my hand, and I give him a couple of seeds. And he looks at it and he goes, you know, he gets so excited. And then I also had the power to tell him, from that seed we could grow a whole tree. We could grow remember when we ate that pepper? We could grow 10 more peppers like that just from that one seed. And then we start getting into this type of conversation. So when you start with the most simple, basic form with children, that's what's so beautiful about it. And I believe that's why Yeshua, the man they also call Jesus, the God they also call Jesus, because obviously this is a God. If he could be tortured by his own people and be sent to death, then and he can give his life for everyone else around him, if you did that right now, you'd be a god, right? But this is a man that did that in those times when stuff was way more rough, right? Like it was way more rough to do that back then.
Yeah.
We do that now, they just look at us like we're crazy and send us to jail, right?
Yeah.
Or to 5150. But back then, you know what I mean? Back then, it was stoned to death. It was cross. It was that type of thing. And then what the cross represents is vertical ascension to God, horizontal stuff that we deal with, right?
I'm
So
gonna ask you-
you're bringing the two together, but still ascending to God. And so this is also what that mystical meaning of the cross is. And the Ethiopian cross also has still other circles going on within that shape.
Fucking talk to you forever about this shit. But I know it's getting late. I got one more question for you.